you can't just put these things anywhere. If people would spend as much time planning as they do building, they'd be fine. If you can address 90% of these, not that I'm going to cover everything, but if you can cover 90% of this, you're going to have a good time. You'll be okay.
This is Matt Neely. He owns his own construction company, graduated with a degree in concrete management, and has over 30 years of experience. I mean, he's built tiny homes, container homes, traditional homes, mansions, pretty much anything you can think of, this guy can build it. He's also hilarious. Listen to some honest advice he had to give someone about driving with their tiny house on wheels that they wanted to build behind them in their car.
Vegans or they're living their best life, doing all that. I was like, guys, your Prius isn't going to pull this thing.
In today's video, he gives us so much insider information on tiny homes, how to build them and build them correctly, and what's it really like living and working in such a tiny space. I promise Matt is the type of guy to entertain you as well as give you a lot of information and food for thought. Big thank you to Matt Neely for coming on the show and giving us a lot of information that people would normally charge you guys for. And let's jump into the clip right now.
My channel is all about the business side of tiny houses, yurts, domes, tents, just all of the things that people don't really look at.
Mm-hmm.
I see a lot of content about this type of stuff, but it's all like Wanderlust, Starbucks, people pretending that they're living van life and, they go into their home at the after they're done recording. So my question to you is with the keep it tiny movement, because I don't want to say just the tiny house movement, as a builder, what are the things that annoy you the most about the general movement, and what do you think the biggest discrepancies are where like this is where truth ends and this is where like the fakeness of it all begins?
Oh wow, where do you begin with that one? That is, we could spend an entire podcast on that just alone. If you're going to do it yourself, you got to think long term. Are you going to have this on a fixed foundation? Are you going to put this on piers to where you can build it? That's probably what I would recommend. However, a lot of people are like, let's put this on a trailer. Okay, that doesn't mean get on Craigslist and get the biggest trailer you can find and put it on there, because what's it rated for? Are you doing 7,000-pound axles? Okay, so you have dual axles on that. That gives you 14,000 pounds. Then you have roughly 2,000 pounds worth of trailer weight. So now you're down to 12. Then you got the building material that you put on it, plus all your appliances, your furniture, and everything. You're going to max this trailer out. And then on top of that, how are you going to pull it? Most of these people, you see the van life, and there's nothing wrong with it. They're vegans or they're living their best life, doing all that. I was like, guys, your Prius isn't going to pull this thing. I was like, you're going to have to get a truck or know somebody to pull this. And they're like, oh, I see those posts on Facebook all the time. Hey, I've got this. Can somebody please move this for me? The other thing you have to consider is you can't just put these things anywhere. I mean, it is very regulated here. And I think it's against, nothing wrong with it, but I think it's a fight against the mobile homes. And they don't want anybody and everybody just buying trailers and putting them wherever. Here, you have to have, they'll allow you to live in an RV or a tiny home, but it cannot be your permanent, residence. You have to have an active building permit, and your permit's only good for 2 years. Also, okay, let's say that you have land, you have a family friend, and nobody's going to say anything. You're not going to piss off the council to be or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Let's say that you moved into your parents' or friend's backyard and you did that. Okay, now you also have to have the infrastructure to support it. Okay, what about power? What about water? What about septic? Nobody thinks of this. I was like, nobody wants to go pee outside in the middle of winter. I was like, do we do it? Yeah, as a guy, but I mean, try doing that as a married man. Like, you want to get divorced? That's how you get divorced.
Yeah.
So, like, go tell your wife to pee outside in the middle of winter. Like, that's not realistic. So you have to think of these things, and those are the added costs. They're like, oh, I can build this for $20,000. Here, the average septic system, just starting off, is 10. Then you got to run power.
Yeah.
Are you going to do solar? Okay, that's great. What are you going to do when it's cloudy? I was like, do you have a battery bank? Like, what are you going to do? Like, these are what people don't think about. So you have to have redundancies for everything. And, I don't know if you're on TikTok or whatnot, but there's a lot of channels, and you've got to take it with a grain of salt. Some people take the best of, every world put together and make it work for you. Also, people are like, I wish there was almost, well, I guess what you could do is go Airbnb, go live in a tiny home, rent one for like
Yeah.
2 or 3 weeks. People are like, oh, I'm absolutely going to do it. And then you're like, dude, I don't have enough room in here for a thought. Try
Yeah.
being married in 200 square
Uh-huh.
feet. Like, there's times like you can't just leave your bedroom. Like, y'all are together. Or,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
like, the only escape you have is the great outdoors. And most people don't think about
Yeah.
this. Like, they're like, hey, I'm going to save all this money. And it's fine. As a single person, it sounds fantastic. As a young, single, college age dude, I'd live in a cardboard box and be happy as can be. I'm not saying those women don't exist, but my wife is not that person. She likes the finer things in life. So,
Absolutely.
and happy wife, happy life. So
Yep. Yep.
you
I
do
believe
that,
that for sure.
yeah. So, there's a lot of nuances you got to think about. And it's also
Hmm.
like, hey, can you buy, just a shed from a big box store and convert it? Yeah, but have you seen the quality of construction? I would probably spend a
Hmm.
thousand, $2,000 more and have it stick framed and have it solid. Like most of these guys, they're built in a warehouse, and some $10 an hour guy is just shooting nails whenever, wherever. You see nails coming out of the 2x4 and whatnot, and they're just haphazardly put together. So, 24 inch on center, just because you can do it and meets code, doesn't mean that it's a well-built structure. It's the same thing I tell my clients. Just because Lowe's and Home Depot sell it doesn't mean you have to use it. I was like,
Yeah.
hey, just there's all kinds of products that are gimmicks out there. They're like, hey, this is homeowner friendly. I was like, there's a reason the professionals don't use this, and I'll explain why.
Hmm.
So, and it depends on your lifestyle. It depends on where you're going to put this thing. There's so many things that go into this. And really, your best bet, if people would spend as much time planning as they do building, they'd be fine.
Yeah.
But that's just it.
Yeah.
It's like they get all excited, and I don't want to burst their bubble. Like, yeah, excitement's awesome, but you need to plan this out. You need to think about
Yep.
this. And then at that point, the excitement stage of the building is assembly, and it's fun, and you're not going to have any problems. It's when you just shoot
Hmm.
from the hip and like, I'm going to go. And then you're like, okay, now you're too far in. I can't tear this apart to fix it. Hey, then it looks like an add on. And then you're mad. You're like, oh, this is acceptable. And it's not, because it's going to bother you. Like 6 months down the road,
Yeah.
you're like, oh, what was I thinking? But if you plan this out, and I mean everything, I mean, go through codes, design this thing, pick out all your materials, know where everything's going to go, you'll have a much better time and whatnot. And, I'm like everybody else. I do deep dives on YouTube and TikToks, and they're fun. I like to see
Hmm.
what other people have done. I learn something new every single day. Like, why didn't I think of that? Like, that is a terrific idea you know. However, you also need to have enough common sense to realize that looks cool, but that's not a good idea. But
Yeah. Yeah.
how do you do that? I tell my clients all the time, if you want to help out, that's fine. As long as it's not slowing me down, because I don't get paid by the
Hmm.
hour. You're only paying me per the job. If it doesn't slow me down, I want you to help. Matter of fact, I will teach you anything and everything you want to know as long as you don't
Yeah.
slow me down. I highly recommend you get a mentor or know somebody who has done this, or talk to people, get on forums, there's all kinds of things. Just do your research. If you do that, you'll be fine.
Hmm.
It's the people that like, oh, I'm gonna duplicate what they did, but they've never done it before. So then they're like, you don't know what problems you're gonna have. And maybe that's what I need to do. Maybe I just need to start a list and be like, these are the potential problems you're gonna have. And be like,
Yeah.
if you can address 90% of these, not that I'm gonna cover everything, but if you can cover 90% of this, you're gonna have a good time. You'll be okay. And then
Yeah.
maybe start, if I could figure out a way to monotonize getting paid what I know and not what I do. If somebody be willing to Venmo me $20, absolutely. Like video conference, like, hey, show me what you got. This is what I would do, and kind of point them on the
Yep.
direction. And half the battle of do-it-yourselfers is they have all the confidence in the world, but they're missing that 5% that'll get them there. And I was like, if you
That's
can
me
just,
right here.
you're 95%.
That's me.
You,
I swear I can build anything.
Hey, I do too. And
But the problem is, I know I can't, and you can. You think you can build anything because you probably can.
well,
I think I can build
I'll
anything.
figure it out. Like I can't. I literally learn something new on the job site all the time, and
Hmm.
I'm not perfect. I make mistakes, but I know how to fix it and make it look good. That's the difference. And I feel like you can get somebody 95% there, but you just have to have somebody confident in your wheelhouse. Be like, hey, I'm so close. What do I do here? Get them over the hump and they can go. That's all there is to it. And a lot of it is confidence. You can do anything. It's like, but I don't know how to operate a skill saw. How do I learn? Start. That's it. And with
Yeah.
everything, just like what do I do? Like investing or buying a house to give them more popularity because I hate them. The Kardashians. I think they are the biggest joke. But dude, they didn't start there. I mean, look
Yeah.
at the before and after photos. Nobody cares. Like the
Yeah.
progress. Yeah. They're like, oh, all this. It's like everybody just wants to see the good side of it, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's it's all about marketing and what sells, and I think it's money
Hmm.
driven too. I mean, you look at what was that show back in the day that moved that bus show that America's Home Renovation. You know what I'm talking about? They're like move that
Oh
bus.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
The
yeah. I think ABC or did it. Man, like every contractor I know, every tradesman, we're cringing. You cannot build a house in 3 days. You just can't.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and then you hear all these horror stories that make national news, and like, it's like they're junk. You just cannot
Hmm.
do it. And it's kind of like HGTV. Oh, I'm gonna do a bathroom renovation over a weekend. No, you're not. You are absolutely
Yeah,
not. It's time and not rushing things. And oh gosh, I've gone on so many tangents. I forgot what the original question was, man. I'm
no,
I'm
no,
like truthful Tourette's over here. I'm like, guys, you're gonna have a bad day. like,
no. I
like,
love it. I love it because again, that's my goal with my channel is to shine a true light on these types of things and to give people real world advice
yeah,
and real world tips that they can actually use. And I think you're helping out with that. You're giving us a lot of
like,
that
like
that good stuff right there.